This is Richard Fowler. I'm John Kilpatrick with Okolona Aikido, Louisville, Kentucky, USA. And today I want to look at Nikkyo in terms of structure break. And this is not what people usually do. People usually look at Nikkyo as a wrist lock, or I would say a wrist breaking technique. But certainly they approach it as a wrist lock. And the basic way that this is taught when you're starting off is that you have this depression that your shoulder forms, and you put their hand in that depression, and so you're taking the hand here, you're gripping over this hand. There are a lot of different ways of doing this, but basically you pull this elbow into a bend here, and then you perfect the art of it creating excruciating pain in the wrist. And so you practice this and you learn to bow, and you make this really hurt, and as your partner gets better at it, you do it really fast so that he has to slam himself flat on the floor as hard as he can to keep from getting his wrist broken. And this is normally what Nikkyo is. And normally when you're practicing this, you're just standing there. Both of you are just standing there. You're not moving, you're not reaming, you're not tenkoning. The closest you come to that is I might do it by pushing into his center, or I might do it by pulling him into my center. But basically, we're just standing here learning to inflict pain on the wrist. And this takes time. This is fine. I'm all for breaking people's wrists if that's what you need to do. So I'm not against this. I don't like practicing this way very much because certainly my wrists have been damaged a lot doing these. I'm a small, fragile guy. I guess if you're a big guy with big, strong joints, and you can practice this without much damage, although the people that I grew up with and have been doing this all our lives, all of them complain about their joints too. So I don't know about that. But what interests me is breaking structure. And so so this video will be about approaching Nikkyo as a structure break. And really in Aikido, your basic structure break is corner drop, and so that would be where he grabs my wrist here, and we don't need to throw this, but you're coming back here and getting a rotation, an extension, and a drop to get your structure break and have the guy fall down. Now, a variation on that I was taught is where you do that to the front. And the exercise for that is where he grabs the wrist, and I've got this on several other videos. We don't need to throw it, but you squat here and drop. So I'm at arm's length. Basically, I'm going straight down. I take this down, and then I extend it out away from him to throw him. And if we turn around and do that from the other side, so we're here, and so I'm going to drop this straight down, then extend it out for the throw, and we'll do that. And then I did that very much like a Nikkyo, because like the way we do Nikkyo. Let's go back to this position. Because I took this down, I stretched it out, and then I pressed down on the elbow as I extend the hand out to get the fall. So when we do the Nikkyo, we're going to do it this way. He grabs a gi. Now, I don't believe in letting people grab you. You know, if somebody grabs you here, I'm just showing you, I'm just demonstrating this structure break. This is not a technique. But in the first place, you know, they start off grabbing over here and grabbing this to turn the hand. Well, I think grabbing here is extremely dangerous. It puts me where he can hit me when I do this. So I can't do this without doing things to protect myself. And people do things, and we'll talk about those in a later video. But here, I also, if he resists, of course in practice we don't resist, but if he resists, turning this hand over is very, very difficult. And I'm like I say, I'm a really little guy. Normally I'm heavy now, a few pounds heavier, but normally I weigh around 130. And with most of the people I practice with, I'm just not strong enough to crank that hand around. So what I like to do is catch this from the bottom with the other hand. And when I do this, it's really even with Richard, who is extremely strong, usually I don't have any trouble just doing this, and now he's helping me there and exaggerating a little, but I don't have any trouble getting this hand to come over a little. And that's all I need. And so this is the way I do this. Actually, I've seen some other people that Aiki Panda starts these Nikkyos the same way. He doesn't end up structure breaking. He ends up doing something different. But he starts this way, and this is the way I can make it work against people who are fighting me. So I start here. I don't start off trying to bend myself, breaking my structure, trying to get where I can bend that. And so then people are bringing this over, locking this down, and again, that's really hard. You see, he straightened out his arm, but when the guy straightens out his arm, it's hard to get him. You know, you can fight with this and try to get him to bend his arm, but it works a whole lot better if the guy's not any bigger than you. You know, if you're doing this against a big, strong, and in fact, I've had the Japanese instructors from Hambrew say the same thing. I mean, they say they get big guys, they hit them in the face first, and then they can get this. They can't just get this in any kind of reasonable way. So, what I like is I catch this from the bottom. See, I've got this V here. I catch this. I bring this over and bring my arm over. Now, instead of keeping his hand up here and trying to apply braking pressure on his arm, I'm going to do this front structure break. So I take this and take it down here, and now I've got this hand close to the floor. I've got my arm over his elbow, just like I did a while ago, and the other time I did it with my hand. But in Nikkyo, I've got this, and then I stretch this out and press it down and take him to the floor. So that's how I'm using this front structure break to do Nikkyo, and it's essentially the same thing we did with Ikkyo. With Ikkyo, we did it from this attack. He grabs my hand here. I'm stepping in and taking this down close to the floor, and then pushing on this and pushing him over for the structure break and the fall. Now, the other way, let's look at this from the other side. I don't know that there's anything to see from the other side, but just for thoroughness. So we're here, he's grabbed this. Now we would do leading, we would do other things to set this up. This is not a technique, this is an exercise in breaking structure. So I'm coming under his wrist here, so coming up here, then I can grab it with both hands here and Now I rotate my hips, bring this over, and I take this down. Now in this case he didn't let go, then I bend over far enough to get this low. And then I push into him and push him down. So that gives you your Nikkyo Arimi, and this is Arimi because we're really going in front of it. And then we can do it Tenkan, and it's the same kind of thing. Tenkan, I'm pushing this up, I bring my arm over. Now here, I step beside his foot here, rather than over here in front. And I take this hand down, and then I turn and bring him to the mat. So, and if we look at that from the other side, this will be from here. So now, I'm taking this, I'm stepping, I'm bringing this over, I take this close to the floor, and then I come back around and take this down. So, the primary differences here is I'm not bothering with getting the wrist lock. If you get the wrist lock, use the wrist lock, and maybe I don't try to get it, but when we're doing freestyle and this has to be done really fast, and I'll show you later on how we do that, then I can't get the wrist lock that fast. But I can do these structure breaks and throws very rapidly. So again, normally you're reaching over like this and trying to turn this with this hand. I'm not doing that, I'm turning it with the other hand. Normally, you're leaving this hand up here and holding it here and doing it. I don't do that. Normally, and here I let him hold on because I'm showing this. I don't like letting anybody grab me. I've trained with wrestlers and judo guys and MMA guys and all, and it's not good to have them grab you. That's bad news. So I try not to get grabbed. And then I take this hand to the floor. I don't try to do this, keeping this up here. If I have this up here, I'm basically holding him up, which makes no sense to me. So that's the basics of how we're doing Nikkyo as a structure break.